Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I'm going to keep this one really short and just answer a really straightforward and simple question. Simple but complicated at the same time. Why do I do this? Why do I put myself through this? The financial uncertainty, the stress, the challenge. The other day, someone made a comment to me that they said that I've become too comfortable living in heartbreak. And that really got me. Really, really got me. I got told I'm too complicated, or you're just too, what was the word? Too in another world. You're just in another world. And as much as a part of me always thinks, fuck you. I'm just in a different world. Maybe my world's a better place than your world. Maybe I hate being in this world. Maybe I hate being in your world. Everyone has a world in their head. Maybe that's part of my suffering, a big part of my suffering. I have a very strong relationship to pain. I make art because I'm in pain. I often think to myself, if I was happy, what the hell would I do with that? So I'm going to answer that question really straightforwardly, as I always try to. But this is what it feels like. Every time I want to make art, it's like I'm trying to chase a state of euphoria. I get really, really excited and really, really happy. And I always need to start making art when I'm in a happier place. I don't tend to want to paint things or draw things when I'm in a dark place. To get started, that is, I always have to start in a place where I'm relatively feeling positive and I have enough energy where I'm just making the time. By the way, when people say I don't have the time, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You make the fucking time. Okay, people say I don't have time to go to the gym. You make the fucking time for the gym. Don't have time for kids. Well, how does anyone raise a kid? They just do. How does a bird know how to fly in the right direction towards that part of the world at that migrational period? They just do. Life has a way of finding itself. We have a way of working through things and making things happen. And for me, art and starting a new piece is very, very hypnotic. It's like something comes over me and it takes over me. It's like I'm not there. It's like something else channels itself through me. I am just the medium. I'm just the thing that's pushing this thing around on this canvas. And it's an itch that I have to scratch. It's this thing that's always there, always there. That's why I always make new art. That's why people that are artists have to keep making art, because the art is teaching us about who we are as we're making it, as just as much as it goes the other way around. When I look at art and I look at a painting, I want it to tell me something that I don't know about myself. I want it to tell me something about something that I don't know. This is what makes good art. It doesn't necessarily have to be aesthetically pleasing, but it has to evoke an emotion for me. Now, this is something that I feel a lot in myself, and recently I went to an exhibition, not just recently, and I was so disappointed because there was no theme, there was no integrity, there was no link. It was just a bunch of pretty pictures that have piggybacked off other cultures around the world, or have picked and choose bits and pieces of things and kind of mashed it all together and tried to make this exhibition of nothingness. It didn't tell me anything. It didn't show me anything. It was just something that you would buy in Kmart. It's something that you would buy in a furniture shop, in Harvey Norman or Domain Furniture. And what's worse, it was piggybacking or taking culture from other countries and not showing it off in a way that is beautiful, kind of westernizing it. But I digress. That's not the point of what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's not about making a picture. For me, my journey with this world that I put myself in every day is not about making a picture. Okay, if you want to make a picture, go take a photograph. Then you'll still play with contrast and foreground, background, lighting, all of those things. But what art is to me personally is storytelling. And it is something that needs to take me on a journey. When I go on an exhibition, or I go into an exhibition, or I had one of my own, there needs to be, for me, a beginning, a middle, and an end. I need to go on a journey. There has to be this thing that happens where I go on something and I feel something. It's got to make me feel something. And it's like a sexual energy. When I'm making art, it's like this. For me, it's like when I'm doing a painting or I'm trying to scratch that itch, it's like having really good sex. And I've had a lot of really, really, really good sex. It's not about just jackhammering someone and then coming and then it's over and then you walk out the door. It is about this invisible connection that happens between me and the other person, and some kind of merging of energy where afterwards I feel different. That's the feeling that I chase in my work. That's the feeling that I get. It is a high. And it's said that when a drug addict has their first hit, it is such a high for the brain, all those neurons all going in these different directions and the release of the dopamine and the serotonin and everything. It's an incredibly beautiful feeling. And that is the feeling that that junkie or the addict chases. It's this aloof unicorn that is kind of like trying to get this to come back again, trying to make it happen. And that's what drives us to do this. That's what drives me to do this. And it makes me feel good. And at the end of the day, it is working both ways. When I make art, I want someone to see me in my work, because the artist is an extension of the work. It is a part of me. That's why it's so very painful for me when I look back at some of my earlier work, or I look at some of the tarot cards from my tarot card deck. I feel sad at that point, because those memories of that thing that I was going through at that time all went into that particular piece. And then there were happier pieces and there were angry pieces. There were all of these bits and pieces of me, of fragments of my soul. That's what you buy when you buy an artist's work. You're buying a fractal of that artist. Okay? And that's what it is. Ideas of an artist. Ideas are the things that live forever. Everything else fades away and dies. And then all art is built on art. So it's a real kind of driving force of trying to get that high. And when I'm sitting there and I'm pushing the brush around and I'm, put a bit of blue on and it's not working, and then I'll go change this, and, it's absolutely excruciating. It is so painful when I'm in that mindset. I've started the painting. I got this kind of gush of energy that came through me, and I got motivated, and I'm going to paint this thing. I'm going to draw this thing. And then it all gets so complicated and it gets so painful. Like, for me, it's like being in the worst relationship of my life, and the worst relationship in the world with someone. That's what it feels like when I'm doing the art, and I'm arguing with myself the whole time, and I'm going back and forth with myself, and I'm beating myself up, and then I'm waiting for this thing to come, and then it doesn't come. And then I have a cup of coffee and sit on the floor and stare at the wall. And then I get up and I attack it again. And sometimes I just lay down on the studio or on the floor in my space that I've got. And I'm in so much fucking pain, and it just feels awful. Like in 1 second it was working, and then in the next second I've completely ruined it. And I fucking hate it, and I'm useless, and I can't do anything right, and all of the memories of all of the baddest things that have ever happened to me all just come flooding into me, and I feel useless, I feel stupid, I'm hopeless, I'm worthless, I don't fit into society, I'm outcast, And everyone knows what that feels like to be abandoned. Everyone knows what it feels like to be used by someone. Everyone knows what it feels like to be deeply, deeply disappointed in yourself. You thought that you were good, but you're not as good as you thought you were. That's why every piece of work that I start, even if it's a simple thing like drawing a little tiger or drawing an animal or painting a hand or something, it doesn't matter what I've done before, what work I've done before. All that matters is the moment that I'm in right now with that drawing. And it's like I'm starting again like a baby, like learning to walk, learning to crawl, and I'm completely helpless. And the fear of it and the pressure of producing something that measures up to my level of expectation that I have of my own ego, of my own sense of self, is astronomical, and it's crushing me at times. And this is a big problem that I have in my life. You know, if you're an artist, you're probably listening to this and you're probably going, yes, yes, because this is the real talk. This is what it feels like for me. This is what it feels like for me when I'm trying to do this. It is so difficult. And there is nothing more offensive to me when someone says, oh, you're so talented. It's like, it's like in their mind, I just woke up one day and I could just do this and it just happens for me. And I'm talented and it's just talent. It's not talent. It's hundreds of thousands of hours of doing this since I was a kid, of practice and drawing and thinking and feeling and emoting and connecting to myself. It's not like a meaningless task where it's just like clock in, clock off. Doesn't matter how you feel. How I feel is my work. That is who I am. And I can only do what I am. I can only do what I am. I only know how to do what I am. So it's not just talent. It is, you work like hell to be an artist, to be taken seriously. And that's what it feels like. And all of these bad things that come into my mind all just swirl around in my head when I'm trying to do it at different times of my life. And they all just drudge up. And then it's like, I've got to do something with this. I can't live like this. I don't want to live like this. Otherwise, I'd rather just die. And then I use that pain to try and push something out of me to make something. And that's what it feels like every single time. It's like I've got to get rid of myself and then I have to save myself every single time and then reconvince myself like Dory, the fish in Finding Nemo. Like, it's like she's swimming around in a circle and I forget that I was good and then I've got to remember that I'm good again. And then I'm totally useless and I'm hopeless. And that level of expectation that you have, that we have on ourselves, maybe not just as an artist, but maybe you can understand what I'm saying, is that when you've had these highs, you're always trying to chase that high, and the fear of, what if I'm not as good as I thought I was? What if that's as high as I can go? You know, that's the thing. I'm always trying to take it further. Maybe it is a Sagittarian side of me. There's double Sag in my sign. So I'm always like looking for the truth, the holy grail, the arrow that I'm shooting up at the sky. And so it's not about just making a painting. Every single piece of work that I do, it is like clawing and climbing my way out of these holes that I have in my head and working through my sadness or my fear of my future or my fear of the world or just me feeling horrible all of the time. You know, I've been raped. You know, these things come back into my mind all the time. They're always there. I never get over it. I just get better at living with it and trying not to let it destroy me and eat me from the inside out. That's what it feels like for me. And if I don't do something with my art, if I don't make art and I'm not in some kind of creative state, for me, it's like I become physically and mentally ill. I become physically sick if I don't do this. It's like I become dead inside if I don't do this. And that's how I know that I was put on this planet to do this. I'm chasing this thing inside of myself, and I'm the man. I'm never going to have a baby, But the closest thing that I can have to anything is birthing an idea and creating and making something and putting it out into the world that I'm really bloody proud of. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I'm so intense. I guess it's kind of connected to like my own sense of self and my own sense of self-understanding. In my earlier years, I just didn't know what I was doing. I just had no idea what I was doing. I was just all over the shop, and I've tripped and stumbled and I fell so many times I've lost count. I don't know. Sometimes I wake up and I think I should just I can't make art anymore. I can't do this anymore. I need stability. I need to go out into the outside world and just get a job at a bank or work in some kind of, some kind of very regimented, structured job where I just do what I'm told and follow a code and a procedure. But then I know that I'd rebel against that because I hate being told what to do, and I hate that part of society, and I've always seen that as hell. And this is why I do what I do. I'm not confident. I don't know. Sometimes I am. Most of the time I'm not. I'm trying to stay humble in myself and taking these risks. It's like making art is like feeling like I can fly, and at the same time I know I can fly. I know I can get off the ground with my wings like a bird, but it's like the fear of falling is there so strongly every single time. And it's scary. Like when I look down, I'm like, oh, I'm going to fall. Like that's what it feels like. I remember the first time that I started like drawing in things and coloring in things, and that feeling that I got, it's a very powerful feeling to create something, and pushing this paintbrush or pencil on canvas and then moving it around, and then it kind of creates a shape, and that shape kind of creates a feeling, and that feeling creates an energy. And it's very, very spiritual to me. It's a part of my process as a person. And there's this kind of waiting for this kind of wave to catch, like catching a wave like a surfer a little bit, where I'm kind of waiting for these waves, and then nothing comes. And I've also learned something that I'll share with you now. There'll never be a right time. There'll always be that tax bill. There'll always be that problem. There'll always be that bully. There'll always, there'll always be a problem. It's really about just going, okay, right now, what can I do with what I have? Go. That's the mindset that I do my best work. And until I push it around enough in my head to do something with it, even if it is just writing a note and coming back to those words later, those words are powerful. Spelling is a word. It's making a spell. It's birthing an energy into the world. And then you push it around enough until something emerges, and then it creates this thing. And then it's like, wow, I did that. And, it's a way of communicating. It's my voice. I'm not using words. I'm using colors. I'm using shapes and tones and the natural world, which is usually what I mostly am connected to in my body of work. But I'm only going by my own experiences and my heart. And this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like to be an artist. It's terrifying. It's scary. I have to kind of feel like I'm a peacock. Like I have to put my fan out to the world and show everyone what I can do. And I hate doing this. I fucking hate doing this. This is cringy. It's horrible. But if I don't do it, no one's going to know about me. That's what it feels like. And then releasing it out into the world, and then people ripping it apart, and it hurts me. It's very, very painful when people speak badly about my work, or they don't like my work, or whatever. But I have to let go of it then when it's out there in the world, because it's not mine anymore. Everyone has their own opinion. I had my first show when I was 13. I featured a feature that I made. It was a sculpture, and it was a giant big toadstool, like, those red and white ones. And my teacher at school helped me get into this exhibition, and we put plaster all around the top of this mushroom and draped the plaster with material so it all dripped, and then I painted it like goo and slime, and we called it the Slimed Fairy Tale. And it was my first sculpture, and I used to work really hard in the garage at my parents' house as a kid, making these paper mache sculptures and shark heads and things like that. And I remember the first time I ever had to deal with this level of thought from other people and not take it personally and not let bitterness or sadness creep into my heart was when you have a piece in a gallery or an exhibition that is publicly placed on the wall or installed in a space, and then you walk around in the audience with the people and you listen to what other people say about your own work. It is the most humbling experience that you can get, and you get thick skin really quick. And then also understand that everything's open to interpretation. And for a lot of the times that people critique your work, it comes from a place of hatred and jealousy, because a lot of people that review other people's work, they have failed. They feel like they have failed in their life. That is why they assert themselves as an expert or a judge of a judgment or a critiquing of something that they themselves can't do or have over someone else. And the industry is full of people like this. It's very pretentious, it's very wokey, it's very left, it's insane, and it contradicts itself all the time. 1 minute something's in, the next minute something's out. It's very much like fashion. And the world, in the art world, it's changed quite a lot. Now it's all kind of gone on to the power of the artist to promote themselves and have their own little window into the world, rather than being behind a gallery, which controls them and fucks them over. Most of the time, the gallerist gets 50% of the sale price of the artwork, and then the artist gets taxed on their 50%, even if they spent months making it. So yeah, there's a lot of pitfalls. A lot of artists get fucked over at every turn. Now we've got AI to deal with. So this is a sense of some of the aspects that I deal with. So you can kind of get a sense more into, the psychology of what it feels like to be an artist. Why do I make art? Because it makes me happy. Why do I do it to myself? Because it's excruciating and it's painful and it's hurtful, and it's like having rough sex and being punched in the face and then kissing and then tumbling again on the ground. It's so brutal. That's what it feels like for me. And some days I'm so paralyzed by the fear, like, oh no, I fucked it, I can't fix this. And then other days I'm optimistic and I feel like I can save it. It's a very up and down thing. It's like drowning. I know this is all very violent and intense to talk about, but this is what it feels like in my heart. It's like being thrown out in the sea, and you're going up and you're going down, and water's coming in your mouth. You can't fucking breathe. That's what it feels like when I make art. And I hope that this lends a little bit of a sneak peek into what I go through every day and why I do what I do, because the moment that something emerges and I can connect with it, makes me feel like I'm valued. It makes me feel that I am worthy of something. And I do attach a lot of my productivity to my own sense of self-worth, because if I didn't do that, then I would just sit in bed all day and do fuck all. So of course, how I'm projecting myself out into the world is a big source of this. And that's why I chase this. And in the next few years, as I get older, I don't have time to fuck around. I don't have time to not know what I want to do. I have to do something right now, and know that in every moment, if you don't do something right now, nothing's going to happen. All right? That's the truth. So it's better to just try and fail, and then fail really quick, and then you can learn from that and grow, because that's the only way that we learn anyway. But at the moment, I am working on my first kids' book. It is a book about emotions. It's very heavy. It's got magic and animals and a monster, and deals with lack of love, fragmentation, and a boy who's abandoned by his tribe, doesn't fit in, and doesn't have power, gets power, what he does with that power. There's a lot going on in here, and I'm going to be putting a lot of financial risk into this project because I have to believe that this is going to work. You've got to have an insurmountable amount of self-belief to do this. So every time someone puts their work out there, that's like jumping out of a fucking aeroplane with not knowing whether the parachute's going to open or not when you're halfway down. That's what it feels like. So blessings to you. Thank you so much for listening to this. Comment below if you feel so inclined. Please like, share, and subscribe this channel, or forward this link on to another artist friend that you might know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Love and blessings to you. Bye.